I'd love to introduce to you Dr. Barb Hughson from the Leadership Dance, and she is our first speaker for Mindfulness Monday.
Awesome. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? We good? Got some thumbs up? All right, awesome. Thank you, Emma, very much. And I want to just give a shout out and a thanks to the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC for putting this on. And I feel honored to be asked to launch this first one. I hope everybody can come back and join us the rest of the week. There's some other great speakers and topics. So I appreciate everybody coming. Today is Mindfulness Monday. So I love some of your etiquette things, Emma, about not emailing and texting and all of that, because that definitely goes against what we're going to talk about today with mindfulness. So those of you that don't know me, it seems like I know a lot of people on the call already. My name's Dr. Barb Hughson. I go by Dr. Barb, and I'm a leadership coach and trainer. And I've, over the years, worked in therapy. I had a practice. I do a lot of mediation work now. I do conflict, workplace conflict, those types of things. And what I've learned through all the years and decades that I've worked with people, I like to weave mindfulness into my work with clients. Mindfulness is very important, and you'll understand a little bit more throughout this session. If you don't know a lot about it, hopefully you'll know more by the end. But it's a good way to focus on self and look at kind of the deep dive work that needs to happen for people. Mindfulness is just a great tool to have in your tool bag when you're working with people. So what exactly is mindfulness? Mindfulness is being present, being in the moment, being here. And in Buddhism, the translation is bare attention. And I really like that, bare attention. So it's just really focusing on one thing and being aware of your feelings and emotions and thoughts and being able to focus in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. What I wanted to do is realizing nowadays that business is something that's starting to embrace the mindfulness world. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about where are we seeing this in the business world. So mindfulness has a lot of applications, and I think what a lot of people are feeling right now is there's a lot of stress and anxiety, especially around our businesses. What's next? What's going on with my employees? Am I going to keep my doors open? How do I make a shift if I need to in my business? So people are kind of feeling a little overwhelmed and stressed and frustrated. And mindfulness is great to be able to just reground and kind of get into a present state. And what we found is that it helps decrease stress, and it helps to kind of calm down this emotional unrest and emotional exhaustion that a lot of people can feel. And I'm sure a lot of you can think of examples where you've just felt emotionally wiped out, right? You're attending to kids right now, especially if you've got kids at home. You've got decisions you still have to make at work. There's a lot of things you're juggling. So you're dealing with emotional exhaustion. Being mindful can actually help with that, staying in the present. The other thing is that we see when we are mindful, we have this awareness. So we're happier and we tend to be more committed to our jobs. And that's, of course, always a good thing in the workplace. We want to make sure that we're focused on what needs to happen. There's a company that I think a lot of you have heard of called Google. Who hasn't heard of that? Google has an amazing program called Search Inside Yourself. And it's actually a mindfulness program. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but it's a program that they've had going for a while. And last I looked, it was over 3-month wait to get into this program. So what does that tell you? That tells you that mindfulness is an important skill, and it's something that more and more businesses are weaving into their culture. So Google actually uses it in a couple ways. They have people go through their training so their employees understand how to take moments to go be creative and take time to be innovative and have that white space to think of new ideas. And they also can use it as a recruiting tool where they look for people that appreciate and value the same kind of mindfulness culture that they're creating there at Google. So along with that, in the business world, we also see that mindfulness helps with creating that white space. So you have a chance to be more creative and to be more innovative. And as all of you know too, if you keep your business the same all the time and change nothing, then you probably won't grow. And so we always have to be aware of kind of making shifts and finding creative ways to do things differently or better. And we have to have time to do that. And so we have to have singular focus. That bare attention that I talked about is really important. And the other thing that we see in practicing mindfulness is oftentimes we have more confidence, and we're also better at making decisions. And I don't know about a lot of you, but sometimes I struggle with making decisions. I try to weigh out all the options. And if you have too much going on, it's hard to focus and take that time to really be aware of all the things going on. Sometimes we make snap decisions. So when you're able to get yourself into a mindful state, then you're able to really focus on, here's all the options, let me think these through clearly. And people tend to make better decisions when they're in that state. So how do we do this? What are some ways we can get into a mindfulness practice? One of the things that I think is a really nice thing to do, both at home and at work, is to set an intention. And the thing with mindfulness too is we want to shift our energy from kind of the negative, frantic, busy energy to more positive, calm, and relaxed. And so setting intentions could be something as simple as when you come into the office or come into work or start your work day, say, okay, today, you know, I don't want to be stressed out, and I know I'm going to run into some challenges. So if I have a problem today, I'm going to look at it as an opportunity for learning to do something differently or something better. So anytime during the day, if you find yourself getting derailed, think back to, okay, what was my intention today? My intention today was to calm down and look at this problem as, what am I supposed to learn here, and what can I do differently? And so setting intentions is just a really good thing for us to do in all of our areas of our life. And along with that, look at what's meaningful at work. And we all like to have purpose and meaning. And when we can focus on what's meaningful at work, that often and stay focused and realize that not everything's terrible and bad, and we don't have to be in this frantic state trying to get by the deadline at 5 o'clock or whatever. So look at what's really meaningful. And again, those are the positive things that you can come back to. Mindfulness is a practice. And so the more that you're able to find that space of being calm and being focused, the easier and quicker you can get back into that space. And I'll be able to demonstrate that here in a couple minutes. The other thing that is really important is focusing on one task. So I don't know about all of you. I try to think I'm a multitasker. I try to do a lot of things at once. But the reality is none of us are good at multitasking. That is just the reality. And the brain science actually shows this. We think we're good at it, but we really are not. Our brains are not wired to multitask. Our brains are really good at focusing in on one thing. So I challenge all of you to kind of look at areas of your life too, especially at work, where you're doing 10 things at once, you're answering emails, you're on the phone, you're working on this document here, and how can you focus that down? I tie that in typically with time management. And time management means you do set aside this time. Years ago, I worked for a company and we actually used the Pomodoro technique. There's a lot of different ways to look at time management. With Pomodoro, the simple explanation is you literally set a timer, 20 to 30 minutes, and you focus on one thing. So if you're someone who comes into the office and you've got 200 emails sitting there every morning, maybe the first thing you do for your first 20 minutes is you deal with the emails. And then you set that aside and you shift to something else. What happens in our brains is our brain literally has to do a shift. So think about when you're sitting working on something and you find that your flow, you get into the zone. I'm sure a lot of you have felt that. You're in a space where you're writing something or you're creating something and you've got a flow going, and then somebody comes in and interrupts or knocks on your door or the phone rings. What happens? All of a sudden your brain switches and you're doing that and attending to that. And then when you try to come back to where you were, how easy is it to get back? Oftentimes it's harder to get back into that flow. And that is really important. Again, it's part of mindfulness. Finding that flow and that zone is part of it. And the longer that you can do that, the better. Again, creativity, innovative ideas, just coming up with new ways of thinking, all of that actually helps create new pathways in our brain. I think one of my favorite neuroscientist out of Harvard is Dr. Srini Pillai. I love his work, and his latest book is called Tinker, Dabble, Doodle, Try. And he talks, it's not quite a light reading book because it's all neuroscience, and it's based on this is what's happening in your brain when you allow yourself that space. And, you know, a lot of people have seen, in the last few years, I've seen maker labs and maker spaces opening up. Why is that? Because we're realizing we really need to get back to that. We need to get to that place where we can just let our brains have calm and peace and focus on one creative thing. So the other thing that ties in nicely with mindfulness is mindset. And a lot of people are using mindset concepts and talking about that. Carol Dweck did a lot of work around fixed versus growth mindset. When you're in a fixed mindset, you feel like this is all I know, I'll never learn this, I don't know how to do this, this is just all there is, and I don't want to, you know, make mistakes or take risks. When you're in a growth mindset, you're open to more possibilities. You don't mind if you make mistakes, you're willing to try new things. A growth mindset ties nicely in with mindfulness because, again, the idea is opening up yourself to that bare attention and allowing yourself that open, free space. The last thing I'll challenge you guys with on some practices is simply to just unplug. Again, we're in an age where we're connected. We're like right now, we're all on our computers. I'm on my phone for this call, but we're used to answering text messages and phone calls and all of these things right away nowadays, where that wasn't always the case. So give yourself time to not always be plugged in. We've all had more time at home lately, so I know some people are twiddling their thumbs and others are finding things to do that they haven't done for a while that aren't necessarily, you know, on your computer or on the phone or texting, those types of things. So different kinds of mindfulness techniques that are out there, some of you guys may have tried. One of them is guided meditations. And guided meditations are awesome. There are lots of apps that you can use. If you just go to Google and search mindful guided meditations, you'll find all sorts. They'll take you on a trip to the beach, or you can go surfing in the ocean, or you can walk through the woods. There's all sorts of great ones. Again, they help you find that calm and that bare attention state. And breathing exercises are also really helpful to just really focus on your breath. The other thing a lot of people like is yoga. And yoga is a perfect example of a great mindful activity. So in yoga, you're focusing in on your breath and what's happening in your body and what's going on kind of around you, and you're moving through positions and poses, and you're always focusing on your breath. And yoga is a great example of an activity that is very useful. So if you haven't tried yoga, it might be something you might want to try, but it's good to get into that calm state. So what I'd like to do for the next couple minutes is I'd like to try a little mindful activity. So I'd like everybody, no matter where you're sitting, to, I have my legs crossed, uncross your legs and put your feet flat on the floor. And what I want you to do, I'm actually going to time this so you guys have an idea of how long this takes. So what I want you to do is I want you to just kind of be aware of how your body is feeling where you're sitting. Rest your hands comfortably on your lap or on your chair and think about what's happening. Are you feeling like tension in your neck? You know, do you need to roll your shoulders around? You know, do you feel like you're kind of evenly sitting on your chair or wherever you are? And then what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes and sit with your eyes closed. And I'd like you to start by taking a deep breath for 5 counts. So we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd like you to take a moment and imagine yourself being calm and peaceful and focused. What does that look like? Imagine where you are. Are you sitting in a comfortable chair on your back porch? Do you have a hammock out in your yard? Are you laying on your bed or on the floor or on a comfortable chair or couch that you like? And imagine yourself sitting there and there's no thoughts flowing in your mind. What does it look like? What are you hearing? What's going on in your body? If you find your mind wandering, come back to your breathing and focus again on your breathing. But keep imagining that calm, peaceful, quiet, focused place. As you're sitting there, we're going to take another breath together for 5 counts. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And just sit there for another moment and imagine your calm, peaceful place. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that was about 2 minutes. And I am sure everybody can find 2 minutes in their day, at least, to do something like that. And again, the nice thing is mindfulness is a practice. So the more and more that you do it, you're able to come back to that place quicker. So maybe next time you try that for 5 minutes. Or again, if you find some guided meditation, try one for 7 minutes or 8 minutes. And just find that place of just tuning into your body, tuning into what you're thinking, tuning into your feelings, and just having that moment of quiet. There's a couple other ways to do it. I like also doing mindful listening. So the way to do that, very similar, sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and in that case, you're going to use your ears and listening. So what do you hear? And all you're going to focus on is the sounds around you. We get so busy too, we kind of don't always hear things that are happening. So are the birds singing outside? Is an airplane going overhead? Is there a dog barking in the distance? What's happening around you? And just be aware of that sense. Another thing is to do an observation. So to pick an object. I got this cute little rock from a neighbor girl. It says Joy. She painted this and she was going around the neighborhood putting little painted rocks around. Pick an object, whatever it is, and just focus on that for a couple minutes, like you've never seen it before, and you have to describe every detail. And again, this is allowing your mind to just focus in on one thing and give that a try. So you can do it mindfulness with breathing, you can do it with sounds, or you can do it with observing and just see what happens as you do that. So that's what I have for you this morning. Emma, do we have any questions?
Yes, I do have a question for you. Can you comment on social distancing? Sorry, I'm reading this. Comment on social distancing, not meaning social isolation, and the importance of coming together with a community like this in mindfulness.
In mindfulness, yep. So, so mindfulness, again, in a lot of ways is very individual, but what happens, what have you all noticed, and this is something we can talk about in our small groups too, what have you all noticed when all of a sudden you don't have that connection with other people? Well, if you're an introvert, you may not care one way or the other, right? Because people that are introverts don't always like to go to all these networking meetings. So the social distancing thing is kind of an interesting concept because we're isolating ourselves physically, but that doesn't mean we have to not be able to connect with people. Now is actually, I think, a good time to practice more mindfulness because we are not necessarily with each other all of the time. So this is a great time to practice, you know, yoga if you like yoga, or trying some more guided meditations when you're not in that busy state of running around and doing all these meetings. Like, you know, working with leadership clients now, I'm like, this is a great time to be learning. This is a great time to be taking on those things that you haven't done before because you've been so busy with other projects. So I think mindfulness is a great thing to integrate. If you've never done it before, now is a really good time to do that. You know, sit with your thoughts and your feelings around all of this stuff going on, because we're all feeling things, right? We're all feeling isolated physically. We don't have these regular get-togethers with people. So now's a great time to just really sit with your feelings. You know, are you feeling nervous about your business? Are you stressed out? And to breathe into that, and again, try some guided meditations and work through some of those feelings now. I think you're going to be in a better position when you do go back to the busy lifestyle. And again, this is all about practicing. So the more time you can take to work on some of this calm and peaceful moments when you have downtime, I think it's a great thing to do.